Well, third time's a charm, I suppose. I've been doing this podcast and talking to the screen now for quite a long time. In fact, I get reminders from YouTube to watch previous podcasts of my own, but they keep changing things, and I hope it's to try and be inclusive. But I don't think it is. But anyway, maybe it's to get you on the hook. I don't know. But I know this. What I believe protects me. That's what I originally was going to call this podcast. And for some reason, I try to go live, which I go live quite often. All right, I skipped a couple days, but then I'm back doing it live. But Thursday, January 22nd, 6:33 in the morning, 2026. So, do you believe in something that protects you? See, what I believe protects me. I mean, it hurts when real things happen in real time in the real world. That I deal with on a daily basis, and you deal with it too in your way. But I'm asking the question, does what you believe protect you? And it's hard because what does protection mean? I mean, are you able to cope day to day, even if something like a big old curveball comes your way out of the blue, you have no idea where it came from, but boom, there it is. And are you able to, in that moment, literally just go, that's terrible. It hurts, but I'll cope. I'm trying to help somebody whose coping mechanism is fluctuating so bad that they seem, and it's only seem, they're not, but they seem to be like wild, like acting crazy. But they're not crazy. They've just had a lot of stuff thrown at them, and their belief doesn't protect them. They're too raw in this human experience, in this realm. They're too raw in this realm. So let me think of something that just reminded me of, because whenever I openly just start talking and just don't think too much about that, but I have to have a subject matter, but my subject matter being what I believe protects me. Okay. Oh, so what came up when I was talking about that was this person who is so raw that the things that happen in normal life, which obviously hurt, they don't feel protected from it. It just knocks them sideways. And lots of things will, certainly grief, and when you lose someone, it's acknowledging and accepting that you are going to suffer So my belief is in humanity having that ability because I have it. But that's not what a lot of people rely on. They rely on a much more structured crutch to lean on, and that crutch might be, I don't know, a religious belief, a belief in close friends and family rushing to their help and aid. I mean, they might believe in those things, and there's nothing wrong with believing in those things, but then if you believe in something enough, then when it lets you down, that too hits you like a wall. So even though I believe in humanity, and my belief is in this human experience, my human life, this realm, is that if it's real, it's fake, which, is a phrase coined by Matt McKinley, Quantum of Conscience. Yeah, I mean, up to a point, it's what we believe is real, but only to us. And then what happens externally is not necessarily real. It's going to be a hard thing to grasp, and it's a hard thing to explain. And Matt does a particularly good job on Quantum of Conscience. Other friends of mine that are more in touch with the bigger picture, which, I'm not trying to elevate anybody's status. It's just their belief system coincides with somewhat of my own belief system. So, the idea that we're going to be tested during our human lifetime in this realm, and this realm is presented in a way to distract us from our true path. And it's the path of least resistance. Love. That's our true path. But we've strayed so far away from it, it may seem like to many people that we're not going to get back to it. Well, of course we are. Maybe not in our human lifetime, but we will get back to love, because it loops, but it's a much bigger loop than we can even possibly conceive of. And it's a mystery, which is why people will always defend the idea of God, because God is love. Completely unconditional love. I don't put conditions on it. Just think of it as an invisibility. Like there's something mysteriously invisible that we're headed towards, and we know we're going to get there. So we have to have faith in our belief system. So that is where we're headed, and it's where we came from, but we don't remember coming from it, but we came from it. So we're going in but the biggest loop that we can't possibly conceive of. Well, we can conceive of it because I'm conceiving of it right now. But have I been there? Yes, before I was born. As soon as I was born, there were a set of things within this realm that I have to deal with. And then will I go there again? Well, I have to believe that if I came from it, I'm going back to it. This is why there's so many people turning away from structured religion and believing in earth, is because we came from it and we're going back to it in a physical sense. but it's not the physical sense, it's the spiritual sense of belief and faith. And I have to have faith in humanity, because that's what saves me from this major distraction that's going on in the world. And I just have fun with my life and make things and be creative. But I also try and help others. And if I try too hard, if you try too hard, you can push people away. But I also make friends doing it. Hello, comrade. Happy day. How do you know? But every bird that cuts the air away is an immense world of delight, closed by your senses 5. Oh, I love Blake. The Blake exhibition that I saw at in London a couple of years ago was his etchings, and somebody had chosen pieces of prose that go with the paintings. Oh, I mean, they were small. It wasn't like massive pieces, but God, they were huge. How you doing, comrade? Trying to keep it clean. Doors of perception are wide open, but they must be cleansed. And that's the problem, is I think we got a little bit dirty. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. So I'm dealing with quite a bit. Crossing the winter. Yeah, the winter season. Yeah. It's hard. I'm dealing with a beautiful, the love of my life, and she's amazing, the mother of my children, but she's struggling very, very hard right now. Struggling like crazy to hold on to something in this realm that's not bringing her joy. I don't know. It's hard. So many people just don't want to let go of a preconceived notion of what everything is to them. Their everything is different from everybody else's everything, obviously. But if it's killing them, if it's actually destroying their lives, and you have the ability to go, look over here, come listen to this, So that's all I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to help somebody just see their own path, and make sure they understand that it has to be cleansed in order to get through these doors of perception that we're facing all the time. I mean, what you see, is it real? Is it real? It's not, is it real? It's like, now you're at the point where it's like, is it real? I mean, there are things that are happening that are so absurd in the news cycles, which, remember their cycles, see little loops. It's hard. And they keep changing them. That one wasn't crazy enough to get the people distracted. That one wasn't crazy enough to get the people distracted, because they don't want you on your own path, because it's the path of least resistance. It's the path that leads to love and peace. They don't want love and peace, because if they got love and peace, sorry, there was something going on outside. I was looking out the window. If they're on the path to love and peace, the people that are on the other path, they can't reach you if you stay on the path of love and peace. They can't reach you. But that doesn't mean that we are enemies. I want our paths to converge. I do want that to happen. But this happens. This absurdity happens it is somewhere between chaos and imagination. That's where humanity is, somewhere between these rival paths. They're not rivals. It's all humanity. But these seemingly disparaging paths, it looks like they're going, but they're not. They're going to come back to this. And the thing is, we're at the crossover. So we're seeing all the absurd and crazy and wild chaos, right? But we're using our imagination. So when the paths cross, we have to have imagination on top of this chaos, because our imagination is the creative key. We are believers in something beyond this humanity, this idea of humanity. You know, I talked to somebody who was a friend, particularly wealthy. He has all the toys. Everything you could possibly imagine is at his fingertips. And yet he is no closer to understanding the meaning of our human experience, our humanity, the way in which we act, because he denies God. He denies God as, okay, he doesn't deny God. He denies religion. But he denies religion because it presented itself as an enemy to the creative flow. This is a hard concept for many people, and I don't want to get too complex. The simplicity, I want to keep it simple. Keep it simple, love you more. That's it, really. Keep it simple, love you more. Because the deeper you understand that this is all smoke and mirrors, distractions, all this stuff that's going on, all of it is there to attract or distract, you know. It's there for that reason. So to embrace the absurdity by being creative in amongst the chaos, just staying creative, staying really creative, tapping into your own flow of creative being. And that means you have to unstick yourself from their sticky path of chaos. The spirit I love, spirit, and a lot of it is in nice nature borders. Yes. Specifically questions. These are questions from my friend Conrad in Poland. He asked me, how is California? How things are. Again, major distractions, you know. I mean, it's weird because we get weather patterns that are specific, you know, if in the history of things that the skies change, the weathers, you know, but there are anomalies. And I think what's happening here in California is it is naturally in nature, a beautiful part of the world, specifically the weather and the landscape is just so beautiful. We have the ocean and the beaches and the mountains and the desert, all within, you know, the confines of Southern California, which is where I live. But it's the people collectively being run ragged by those that control, those that have environmental controls, and certainly political, religious controls, and also media controls. See, the problem with Southern California is it's the perfect place to film, or to make film, or to make media. And of course, it's become a mecca for the wealthy. And so you've got rich people who are celebrated because they're celebrities, running the show as if they're some sort of film star. That's why we've had so many governors, or, people who run Southern California, all the families that run Southern California are all attached to the media business in some way, shape, or form. And then they bring that to the table, which obviously gives whatever political bent they pretend to be on, a control system. But it's been the same four families now for 40 or 50 years in California, at least. But it's still a beautiful, natural, wonderful place to live in the world. Financially, it's crippling. It's getting more and more expensive. Sorry. But yeah, it's hard to explain why I stay in California. It's because there's a beast here that needs slaying. It's like a giant dragon. It doesn't need slaying. It just needs calming down a bit. It roars too much, and it doesn't realize that its flames extinguish hope. The year of the dragon. It isn't the year of the dragon, I know. But it's likened to a dragon, I suppose, just in my mind. But everything that's real is in my mind. My mind is in my heart, and my heart is in my perception, and my perception is cleansed on a daily basis by people like William Blake and Conrad Russo. Okay. There are voices that cinema and streaming is also taken over by algorithm. So they repeating dialogues and explain fable in dialogues because they know that people are scrolling in the meantime. Yes, a lot of people are spinning their wheels. A lot of people aren't really actually understanding that their input is as important as that which they're watching to suppress their input. There's a sort of like, let's come together, open hands, fists. It's like, whoops, no, but we got to understand that there is a massive duality in humanity, in each and on a micro and a macro level, to understand that there's this duality that we're dealing with, and it's the inner duality of balancing your male and female spirit, not in an outer way, although people get confused, but we have to embrace the fact that there's a creative spark within us that might be in the feminine side that we're suppressing, or might be in the masculine side that we're suppressing, but it's all within this idea that we need to balance our sense of being. And this is, I'll go back to my reason for this actually much longer podcast than I thought I'd be doing, but it's the idea that we have to believe in something, and that something has to protect us. And if what you believe in isn't protecting you, and you feel constantly in a fight with your reality, then you're believing in something that's lesser than the God within you, the consciousness, the idea of unconditional love being the driving force as a mystery that we came from, that we're going to, right? We came from God. We're going to God, but you call it different things. It's okay. I call it unconditional love. But I've tried to access it during my human journey, and I've accessed it through the teachings of people like William Blake, and other people too, and people close to me too, individuals that I've met along the way. They've helped me a great deal. So I'm trying to share that. I'm trying to pass that along. Right. I'm very missing old movies. Yeah, I have a nostalgia for, the movies that kind of had a self-regulating way of resolving. It might be a horror movie, but at the end, it was always the good guys always won. Now we have horror movies that end abruptly with, yeah, it's all horror. It's like, oh, what? So, and I'm not just talking about horror movies. I'm talking about just the storyline. And again, we are stories. Our lives are our story, and that story is an energy, and that energy needs to be kept in the positive. So in a way, I believe that, again, chaos over here, imagination over here. Be more in the imagination, be more in the creative side of your being. I don't know if it's left or right, it doesn't matter, but it's in. Yeah, I mean, being a fan of specific types of movies and specific movie directors. I mean, I'm a big fan of some Russian directors. Tarkovsky comes to mind. Jodorowsky. It's not Russian, Latin American, but they don't need language to paint the picture. So it's not as dialogue driven, but at the same time, it's showing you. So it's enabling you to understand on a different level. And movies are interesting, and I loved working in the film business, and I do understand how it's been wrestled away from creativity as much as possible. Same way with music, same way with most entertainment. It's being put through a funnel that is commerce, and its only interest is to generate its own self-interest. I mean, I don't want to get into politics at all, but it's a political tool to have the media bend to your will, and the only way they can get them to bend to the will of the dark forces that want to keep us in continuous chaos, the only way they can get us to bend to that will is to continue to be greedy. And again, that might actually be a reflection of what's going on within big business worldwide, that they've got so greedy that they can't relinquish control. And then greed kills. I mean, greed will kill people. Okay, be on a very simple level. I love food. I'm going to keep eating food. I'm going to keep eating food that's bad for me. I'm going to blow up like a balloon. Obesity, it kills me, right? But on a massive level, it's like, this can't sustain itself. What's going on globally cannot possibly sustain itself. It's it's going to eat itself. But can we influence some of the people that are on the greed train? Can we influence them towards a much more loving, kind, and inclusive um, set of rules. I think so. They are playing with the spirits and lives of millions. Yes, but I think they know that they are playing, and they're also getting desperate. I think they are playing with the spirits and lives of millions. They are definitely doing that. But I believe that they know somewhere there's a kernel of truth within them that is going, but this is wrong. Under their breath, they're like, oh, what I'm doing, it's wrong. I'm kind of hooked on it. So they too have a kernel of this imaginative way of living, this other end of humanity's chaotic or imaginative way of being. I just have to hope that even within that greed system that is evident everywhere, that there's a spark of consciousness. Because if that spark's there, it can turn into a flame, and we can work together and be eternal. Okay, this is going way longer than I thought, and I have to get on with my life. Lots of things in this human experience that I'm dealing with on a personal level, and it's kept me away from chatting to the screen. But I've been making music, making art, and reaching out to people and helping people as best I can. It doesn't always work, but I have to keep going. And that's part of why I'm here. I always thought of myself as just a messenger, through the music, through the art, through the sense of being, that I can influence people. But it's not just that. You do have a individual duty within even the confines of this realm. Even if it's not real, you have to take care of yourself. And if yourself feels the need to help others, then do so. But be aware that some people don't need help. That awareness is just, in some people, they reject it immediately. And some people go, well, I'll let him help for a bit, but no. And, they keep shutting you out. But if they actually ask for help, then I do believe we have a duty to help others, especially those that struggle. And they struggle on a daily basis, but if they ask for help, then we must do that. So I'm helping others, and I'm helping myself too by doing it. It is kind of like but I'm only doing it when people ask. It's hard because many people have been trained and entrained and then indoctrinated, and then they don't ask for help. That shows you're weak. And it's like, no, it shows you're strong. You're strong enough to know in yourself when you need help, and you're not frightened to ask others for help. Well, if I have enough things and I'm greedy enough, I'll never need help because I'll have all these things. See, that's the game they want you to play. Ask for help. If you need help, even if you've got all these things, ask for help. I'll help. Love is the answer. I don't know what the question is. Love is the answer. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. There's more than a couple of villages on the planet. Have a nice day. There is more than a couple of villages on the planet. There's more than a couple of villagers on the planet. Yes. We are many. They are few. Stay strong, my friend. Love will overcome everything else. Love is the answer. All right. I love you. Cheers, comrade.